Great Depression isn't a page from history anymore. It's back, and this time it's eating America from the inside out. Wages are frozen, prices are soaring, and the dinner table is shrinking for millions of working families. When even fast food, the last affordable comfort for the struggling class, starts collapsing, what does that say about the state of the nation? From shuttered drive-thrus to for lease signs replacing neon lights, the golden age of cheap burgers and dollar menus is dying right before our eyes. Experts warn that we're living through the steepest consumer pullback in over 2 decades. Layoffs are rising, franchisees are bankrupt, and America's most familiar brands are vanishing one store at a time. Could this be the modern echo of 1929? Only this time with no safety net? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Tonight, we uncover 13 iconic fast food chains shutting down for good. Not just victims of inflation, but casualties of a system cracking under its own weight. Let's begin. Number 1. Wendy's. Once upon a time, that freckled redhead smiled down from every corner of America. But lately, she's looking more like a ghost of better days. Wendy's, one of the last great symbols of cheap comfort food, is pulling the plug on between 200 and 350 U.S. locations from late 2025 through 2026. That's after 140 stores already vanished in 2024. The company blames what executives politely call reduced traffic among lower-income consumers. Translation: working people can't afford burgers anymore. Same-store sales fell roughly 4% in the first 9 months of the year, while revenue slid 2% to $1.63 billion, and net income sank 6% to $138.6 million. CEO Ken Cook said some stores do not elevate the brand. That's corporate poetry for poor folks aren't spending enough. Each underperforming restaurant isn't just a number. It's a closed door, a dark parking lot, and another town that feels a little more forgotten. Inflation has done what no competitor could: crush the drive-through dream. Food away from home costs have soared, and month-to-month visits dropped nearly 10% by late summer. The 4-for-4 deal that once fed a family on payday now barely feeds one. Families are counting pennies before pulling into the lot, asking if dinner is worth the gas it takes to get there. And just when Wendy's thought it dodged that class action lawsuit over oversized burgers in its ads, another truth hits harder. No marketing trick can hide an economy where every meal feels like a gamble. Wendy's retreat isn't about shrinking profits. It's about a shrinking America, one where fast food is no longer fast, cheap, or comforting, just another casualty of a system built to serve itself first. Number 2. Jack in the Box. Jack's not jumping out of the box this time. He's packing it up. On April 23, 2025, Jack in the Box announced what it calls a block closure program, shutting down roughly 150 to 200 restaurants across the United States. By the end of that year, up to 120 locations will already be gone, with the rest closing as franchise contracts run out. It's a quiet retreat disguised as strategic simplification, but anyone who's watched their local Jack's neon sign flicker for the last time knows what that really means. Fewer jobs, emptier streets, and another late-night pit stop erased. The company admits same-store sales fell 4.4% this spring, while sister brand Del Taco dropped 3.6%. CEO Lance Tucker tried to spin it as a move toward a simplified, asset-light model. Translation: the bills are too high. Labor costs are climbing, energy prices are biting, and the cost of lettuce feels like it's traded on Wall Street now. For working families, that $5 combo has become a luxury, and for corporate America, simplification has become the polite way to say, shut it down. Jack in the Box is also wrestling with a costly hangover from its $585 million Del Taco acquisition back in 2022. What was meant to be a growth play has turned into a financial anchor, and the company is now exploring a possible sale. On top of that, lawsuits keep piling up. One major franchisee in Washington sued after 39 store terminations, accusing the company of corporate sabotage. It's the same story playing out across the fast food map. Inflation's rising, wages can't keep up, and consumers are cutting back. When even Jack himself can't afford to stay in the box, you know the party's over. Number 3, Red Robin. The bird isn't soaring, it's crash landing. Red Robin, once a proud symbol of the gourmet burger dream, has announced plans to close around 70 underperforming restaurants over the next 5 years. The chain's latest numbers paint a grim picture. $6 million in losses last year from those failing stores, dragging down profit margins by more than 2 full percentage points. In plain talk, that means the burgers aren't flipping fast enough to keep the lights on. In its third quarter report for fiscal year 2025, Red Robin posted revenue of $265.1 million, nearly $10 million less than the year before, along with a net loss of $18.4 million. Management blamed a familiar trio of villains: falling guest traffic, ballooning food and labor costs, and suffocating rent and debt payments. Guest visits have dropped between 3 and 5.5% across several quarters, the kind of decline that turns bottomless fries into bottomless worries. Executives insist that 300 of their restaurants are still profitable, but it's hard to celebrate when inflation has turned eating out into an occasional treat instead of a weekly ritual. Families that once sat under those bright red roofs now glance at menus and quietly do the math. The fries cost more, the burgers are smaller, and the paycheck feels lighter. Unlike other chains hit by scandal or lawsuits, Red Robin's wound is purely economic. Death by 1,000 receipts. The chain is shrinking not out of choice but out of survival instinct, trimming feathers just to stay airborne. When the gourmet burger becomes too expensive for the average American, it's not just a restaurant in trouble. It's another reminder that even comfort food can't comfort you when the economy stops feeding hope. Number 4, Rubio's Coastal Grill. Even the ocean can't wash away debt. Rubio's Coastal Grill, the San Diego-born chain, once proud of serving fresh fish tacos since 1983, has been hit by a financial wave it couldn't ride. On June 3, 2024, the company abruptly shut down 48 of its California restaurants, over 1/3 of its entire footprint in the state. 2 days later, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, its second collapse in just 4 years, weighed down by more than $100 million in debt. For a brand that once promised beach vibes and Baja flavors, it's now more about courtrooms and creditors than coastal sunsets. The reason? California's cost of doing business has turned from a tide into a tsunami. The state's fast food minimum wage jumped to $20 an hour in April 2024, squeezing already thin margins. Add to that the rising prices of fish, avocados, and utilities, and you've got a recipe no chef can fix. Rubio cited plunging in-store traffic as customers tightened wallets, while rent and energy bills kept climbing like the surf at high tide. But the storm has been brewing for years. Back in the mid-2000s, the company was sued for calling its Lobster burrito a lobster when it really contained langostino, a cheaper crustacean cousin. It was a small scandal, but one that left a fishy aftertaste for the brand's credibility. Now, as inflation bites and debt piles up, Rubio's finds itself drowning in the same sea of costs and broken promises that's swallowing much of the fast casual industry. The company insists the closures are about right-sizing. But when a California icon has to gut 1/3 of its stores just to survive, it's not right-sizing. It's downsizing the American dream, one taco at a time. Number 5, Denny's. The lights are dimming at America's all-night diner. Denny's, the place where truckers, retirees, and night shift workers once found a cheap cup of coffee and a warm plate at 2 a.m., is quietly clearing tables for good. Turn on your October 22, 2024, the company announced plans to shut down about 150 restaurants across the country by the end of 2025. That's nearly 10% of its network. 88 have already closed this year, with another 70 to 90 on the chopping block next. Most of the doomed diners are aging spots with leases about to expire and weak revenue, barely $1.1 million a year each. The reasons sound familiar but sting harder: inflation, higher labor and energy costs, and Americans simply eating out less. The family dining model that built Denny's empire, long meals at real tables, is being bulldozed by faster, cheaper drive-thrus. For millions of working Americans, even pancakes now come with a side of anxiety. When the bill for breakfast feels heavier than the plate, you know something's gone wrong in the land of grand slams. Denny's reputation also carries old scars. Back in the 1990s, the chain paid roughly $54.4 million to settle lawsuits accusing it of racial discrimination. Black customers reportedly waited longer or were denied service outright. And in 2024, animal rights groups reignited criticism, accusing Denny's of breaking its promise to phase out cruel gestation crates in its pork supply chain. So here stands another American icon, gasping under the weight of the modern economy. A brand too big to vanish, yet too bruised to thrive. When even Denny's, that 24-hour symbol of affordability and equality, starts locking its doors early, you can't help but ask, if the diner dies, what does that say about the dream it served? Number 6. Red Lobster. The sea has turned against the sailor. Red Lobster, once the crown jewel of America's casual dining scene, is sinking fast. In May 2024, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and announced the closure of at least 99 restaurants across the United States. For decades, Red Lobster symbolized middle-class celebration, a place where a family could splurge once a month and feel rich for an evening. But now the restaurant that promised endless shrimp is drowning in endless debt. The company blames the usual villains: surging food and labor costs, bloated lease payments from past sale-leaseback deals, and consumers tightening wallets as inflation bites. Yet the final wave came from inside its own kitchen: the endless shrimp promotion. What began as a limited-time gimmick became a permanent menu item in May 2023, priced at $20. Customers flooded in, stayed longer, ate more, and left profits gasping for air. The promotion alone triggered an $11 million loss. You can't sell bottomless shrimp when your bottom line's already cracked. Behind the scenes, Red Lobster's largest stakeholder, Thai Union Group, also its seafood supplier, was accused of pulling too many strings. Internal filings described outsized influence over buying decisions and cost cuts that gutted quality and service. Analysts said it was like letting the fishermen own the ocean. In its bankruptcy statement, Red Lobster admitted that high wages, rising shrimp prices, and heavy real estate costs had made many restaurants no longer viable. The brand that once served America's comfort seafood has become a cautionary tale of corporate overreach and economic fatigue. The truth is, Red Lobster didn't just get caught in rough waters, it built its own storm. Number 7. Subway. The sandwich empire that once promised to eat fresh is now eating dust. Subway, once the biggest restaurant chain in America by sheer number of stores, is shrinking faster than yesterday's bread. In 2024 alone, the company shuttered a net 631 restaurants across the United States, dropping its total to 19,502. The first time in nearly 20 years it's fallen below the 20,000 mark. But industry investigators say the real number is far worse, estimating more than 1,000 closures once you count silent shutdowns, transfers, and releases. The $5 footlong has finally been eaten alive by inflation. Subway blames the usual suspects: declining customer traffic, razor-thin margins, and rising rent and utility costs that leave franchise owners gasping for air. From its peak of 27,000 stores in 2015, Subway has lost over 7,600 locations in just 9 years. That's not smart growth. That's survival mode with a smile. For small-town operators, the promise of owning a Subway franchise has turned into a financial chokehold, one sandwich at a time. But the chain's wounds aren't just economic, they're reputational. The name Subway has never fully recovered from the disgrace of its former spokesperson, Jared Fogle, convicted in 2015 for heinous crimes involving minors. The fallout burned deep, eroding trust that took decades to build. Then came the fake tuna lawsuit, alleging that its tuna subs contained everything but tuna. Though the case was dismissed in 2023, the damage to public confidence stuck like old mayonnaise. Today, Subway's decline feels symbolic. Another American brand built on optimism, now collapsing under its own weight. The world got more expensive, customers got poorer, and even the humble sub couldn't survive the squeeze. When a brand built on fresh starts rotting from within, you know the whole system's gone stale. Number 8. KFC. The Colonel's smile is starting to crack. KFC, once the king of American fried chicken, is losing its crunch. In the third quarter of 2024, Yum Brands reported that U.S. same-store sales at KFC dropped 5%, the third straight quarter of decline. Analysts say the EUI slump isn't a fluke. Traffic in some markets has been falling between 2 and 12% every month from 2023 through 2025. For the first time in U.S. history, Popeyes and Chick-fil-A are stealing the Colonel's bucket right out of his hands. Behind the red and white stripes, franchisees are quietly folding. Industry reports note that more KFC locations are closing, often due to bankrupt operators who can't survive rising food and labor costs. Every shuttered KFC feels like another empty gas station on America's back roads, a fading reminder of a time when fried chicken smelled like Sunday comfort instead of corporate fatigue. KFC's deeper problem runs beneath the grease. The brand's identity has gone stale. Once famous for its 11 secret herbs and spices, now it ranks near the bottom for customer satisfaction among chicken chains. Consumers are demanding fresher menus and better quality, but KFC's response has been slow, almost stubborn. One analyst summed it up perfectly. The problem isn't the brand, it's the execution. And lately, the execution tastes more like reheated leftovers. The pain cuts especially deep among lower-income families, the very people who built KFC's empire. Reuters reported that many simply can't afford to dine out anymore. When your most loyal customers are choosing between a chicken bucket and the light bill, no amount of secret seasoning can fix it. The Colonel once sold comfort, now he's serving a cautionary tale that in a country gripped by inflation, even fried chicken can go cold. Number 9. Burger King. The king's crown is slipping. Burger King, once the loud, flame-grilled rival to McDonald's, is quietly losing its empire. Not through royal decree, but through bankruptcy filings and courtroom drama. In April 2025, one of its biggest U.S. franchisees, Consolidated Burger Holdings, which ran 57 Burger King restaurants across Florida and southern Georgia, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy after racking up nearly $37 million in debt. Court records showed the operator lost $12.5 million in the prior year and another $6.3 million in 2023. The causes? Ballooning labor costs, food inflation hotter than a Whopper grill, and leases that refuse to budge while customers stop showing up. It's not just about numbers, it's about a kingdom crumbling from within. Franchise owners across the country are struggling to stay afloat, some forced to hand their keys back to corporate just to survive. Burger King's official response sounds polished. We're transferring affected locations to high-performing operators. Translation? The weak are being devoured so the strong can keep selling fries. And while the chain fights to keep its stores open, a federal judge ruled in April 2025 that Burger King must face a class action lawsuit accusing it of using no-hire agreements to suppress wages and block workers from switching franchises. In other words, the king wasn't just losing customers. He was allegedly caging his own people. The irony writes itself. A company famous for have it your way may have kept its employees from having it theirs. With traffic falling, inflation biting, and lawsuits piling up, Burger King isn't just losing market share, it's losing trust. The flame is still on, but the grill is empty. And if the king doesn't find his footing soon, he might have to hand over the crown before the kingdom burns out completely. Number 10. Hooters. The owl has lost its flight. Hooters of America. The chain once known for cold beer, spicy wings, and a wink and smile brand of service, is folding its wings fast. In June 2024, the company abruptly shut down about 40 underperforming U.S. restaurants, citing crushing costs, falling dine-out traffic, and inflation that hit both wages and chicken prices. By March 2025, Hooters filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, marking the beginning of a painful restructuring that could reshape the entire franchise system. The orange shorts are fading, not from controversy this time, but from cold, hard economics. Executives blame rising minimum wages in key states, especially in high-rent tourist zones and airports, alongside surging utility bills and leases that have become financial chokeholds. Meanwhile, the middle-class crowd that once made Hooters a Friday night ritual has vanished, replaced by consumers counting every dollar before deciding if dining out means anything beyond a drive-thru. A brand built on fantasy is being crushed by reality, but Hooters' problems go deeper than inflation. The brand's image, once cheeky, now called tone-deaf, feels frozen in another era. As America's cultural climate changes, the chain's skimpy uniforms and flirty service model have aged about as well as neon beer signs. Critics say it's no longer selling comfort food, it's selling nostalgia that fewer people want to buy. With costs soaring, traffic plunging, and the brand identity itself under siege, Hooters has become another casualty of an economy and a culture in transition. When even the restaurant can't pay its bills, you know the party's over. Number 11, TGI Fridays. Looks like Fridays aren't feeling so good anymore. TGI Fridays, the once buzzing bar and grill that turned every night into a weekend, is now closing tabs instead of opening them. In January 2024, the company abruptly shut down 36 underperforming restaurants across the U.S., followed by about 50 more later that same year. More than 80 locations gone in 12 months. A gut punch for a brand that once promised, "It's always Friday somewhere." By November, TGI Fridays had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, blaming the same economic cocktail that's knocking down much of America's casual dining sector: tightening consumer budgets, rising interest rates, soaring labor and food costs, and leases that age like milk in summer heat. The company admitted that rejecting unprofitable leases was the only way to stay afloat. For many workers, those red-striped awnings and neon signs were more than decor. They were paychecks, memories, and late-night laughter now silenced under fluorescent "for lease" signs. But the trouble didn't stop at the balance sheet. Fridays also found itself tangled in embarrassment. A class action settlement of $900,000 over mozzarella sticks that contained, ironically, no mozzarella. Earlier accusations of liquor scams in certain franchise units, and growing ridicule that its once trendy party bar atmosphere now feels more relic than revelry. In an era where consumers crave authenticity, TGI Fridays has been stuck replaying the same old song on a broken jukebox. Once the symbol of after-work escape, Fridays has become a mirror of modern America, burdened by debt, nostalgia, and rising prices. The drinks are still strong, but the spirit's gone flat. When even Friday night feels like Monday morning, you know the good times have officially clocked out. Number 12, Applebee's. The neighborhood grill is going quiet. Applebee's, that once familiar glow on every suburban corner, is dimming one dining room at a time. The chain hasn't made splashy headlines about mass shutdowns, but behind the corporate calm lies a slow-motion retreat. Since 2023, dozens of franchisees have folded, returned leases, or filed for bankruptcy, especially in high-cost locations where rent, utilities, and wages are eating up every last profit. What used to be a symbol of middle-class comfort food has become a cautionary tale of what happens when the middle class itself starts disappearing. Industry analysts say Applebee's closures are part of a broader collapse in casual dining, a category squeezed between fast food's cheap speed and fast casual's trendy health pitch. Customers who once came for affordable steaks and half-price apps now scroll past delivery deals, comparing prices instead of swapping stories over a booth. Inflation has turned even a simple night out into a spreadsheet exercise. For workers and franchise owners alike, every month feels like a new balancing act between survival and surrender. Reputation hasn't been kind either. The brand has faced wage and hour investigations, discrimination claims, and accessibility lawsuits that paint a picture of a chain struggling to modernize. Younger diners see it as outdated. Older ones see it as too expensive. Somewhere in between, Applebee's seems to have lost its neighborhood. Once the soundtrack of easygoing America, where waiters sang birthdays and the bar lights felt like home, Applebee's now sits in the uncomfortable silence of an empty booth. No dramatic collapse, no big scandal, just a slow fade, the kind that happens when an entire generation quietly stops showing up. Number 13, Steak and Shake. The sizzle is gone from the skillet. Steak and Shake, once a proud pit stop for families craving hand-spun shakes and thin-pressed burgers, is shrinking faster than a melted scoop of ice cream on a summer dashboard. From 626 stores in 2018 down to roughly 426 by the end of 2024, the chain has lost 200 restaurants across the United States. What was once a middle-class comfort zone has turned into a casualty of a shrinking wallet and a fading appetite for sit-down meals. The company blames the usual triple threat: runaway food prices, rising wages, and dwindling traffic. Inflation has turned every burger into a math problem, every milkshake into a maybe. Franchisees are buckling under rent and payroll, while the brand's full-service model, waitstaff, table delivery, the old-school diner charm, now feels like a luxury in a drive-through world. What used to be a steak burger tradition is becoming a spreadsheet headache, but the deeper burn comes from its reputation. In early 2025, Steak and Shake made headlines by pivoting its marketing toward politics, bragging about switching to beef tallow fried fries in a bid to court traditional consumers. Critics saw it as a desperate gimmick, the kind of cultural posturing that smells more like panic than purpose. In an era where people just want affordable food and a little dignity at dinner, politicizing the fryer oil might be the final straw. Steak and Shake's story isn't just about closing doors. It's about an American icon stuck between eras. Too slow for fast food, too cheap for fine dining, and too lost to reinvent itself. The neon signs still glow, but inside the griddle's cooling down, one quiet store at a time. America's favorite chains are falling, one by one. But this story isn't over yet, because the next collapse could hit closer to home. Subscribe now, before the lights go out everywhere.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our daily content. Now feel free to check out some of the newest and best videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.